Hey everybody, I'm Jim from M&M Tools and Machinery, and we're here at Brad's shop to do an actual user review on the Powermatic 60HH joiner. So Brad, take it away, man. What do you think? Goods, bads?
Yeah. So 3 years ago, I came to M&M and I said, listen, we at People Builders want to look into the process of doing some more furniture work, our handcrafted wheelchair ramps that we do, and came to Jim and said, I need a set of the best and the brightest tools that can work in a pretty huge shop.
Yeah.
We work the tools pretty hard every day. And he recommended the 60 8-inch helical head planer, and I'll tell you, the initial impressions off the bat, you cannot get any better than the gold standard, which is Powermatic. It's the best, and it chews through our wood fast, clean. The tabletop, I haven't had a problem with it. It came out of the box, I set it up. It does take a little bit of finagling to get it tuned in.
Okay.
But once you get it tuned in, you never have to adjust it.
So by tuned in, what do you mean?
Making sure that the tabletop is level when you slide the wood through,
Okay.
to get the right distance off of your depth control. And I will say, when you look at this, the depth controls on the Powermatic with the brake and then the release here to give your depth of cut are an industry standard. I don't think there's anything else out there. Maybe Laguna has a little more finer detail, but I've used the Delta, I've used the small ones, I've used the other brands, and this by far is the best. One feature that I really like on this tool, and when you're looking at buying a good joiner, is the adjustment in the back. If you can see, Powermatic is really robust in their functions for the user. It's not the typical kind
Smaller counterweight.
of chintzy counterweight kind of, and I don't want to say jet or any of those aren't good, but with Powermatic you really get a robust thing. But for instance, if you're doing a planing and you want to get an angle on your back, all you have to do is very carefully, I'm going to change that, is just adjust your back here to any angle that you want. So if you're going full 45, you bury it, and then when you push your wood through,
Very good.
you're going to get the 45. So you're going to get all the angles that you want with this tool. The adjustment in the back, very easy. It's got a positive zero stop. You push that out of the way. Unlock it, and you can see the gauge on the back. You can bring it to any angle you want to 45. So very ease control to allow your wood to have an angle on it when you're coming through. Very user-friendly for all of your planing needs. If I had to do it again, I love the model, the engine, the base, everything. The only thing is just to look at a bigger bed, because we use it for a lot of posts, furniture making, things like that. So if you do anything past 8 feet, you got to have a guy kind of hold up that end, especially if you're using hardwoods, that are heavy.
Some guys come in and they're like, dude, I just want a little $400 joiner. And to be fair, maybe that's all their budget can afford, but the problem is exactly what Brad had said. You get a $400 joiner, the bed is literally about this long, maybe a little longer. You get a 4-foot board even, you're out here on this end, and all of a sudden you don't have any support past this. It becomes problematic. So even though a lot of guys think, well, since I'm going to get a 6-inch anyway, I can't face joint that much. Well, that's true, but you still got to be able to support your wood in feed and out feed. And the problem is, you can only support your wood so much from right here, and there's still a lot of weight, just like Brad said, on some of those exotics, especially. Way out here or way out there.
The helical head really changed the way that wood was processed in the surface arena by having the ability to change your heads, not just the head completely, but turning it 4 different ways, and you get a brand new sharp edge. The helical system is superior to none. And I remember when I came in to M&M to look at a new joiner and a new planer, I think you were selling me on that. Hey, you've got to look at these new helical heads, and it was something that I hadn't seen before and was in some ways skeptical. But growing up with the old Delta Rockwell planers and joiners that my dad had, I remember, shoving a board through, and we hit an old musket ball from Civil War, and in some of the oak that we had from Arkansas in the South, and it would ruin the whole edge. So you'd have to take the whole blade out, you'd have to tune it, you'd have to adjust it. And that's the great thing about the heads there is no tuning.
Right.
There is no adjustment. I believe I believe the heads are between $5 to $10 a piece.
Right. Yep.
And you can order them very easily at M&M Tool, and you just literally go in, take them off. They supply the star bit to take it off, put the new one on it, and you're back in business.
The only thing that it's important for people to know, and I'm sure those of you who have researched it have heard, on helical heads, if you don't tighten these to the same tightness, you get tracks. You get track marks on your wood. So you just need to, a lot of guys say they can do it by feeling, and you can if you're doing a lot, but you got to be in the same motion. So it's easier to just get a torque wrench.
If you're doing fine furniture, invest into the torque wrench. It's $50 to do it. And I forget what the torque pounds are on this. Yeah, it's not that much, and it's so easy. It's simple, but especially with, this is one thing, the helical head on the joiner is not too hard to change, because I think there's 64 teeth on this. When you get into the 20-inch planers, you want a torque wrench, because there's a ton. And
on top of that, you can see the joiner. You open this up and you can see exactly where you're at and change it, done. So this is a wedge style. Now, wedge style is good because they're relatively, right, but inexpensive, and they do a great job. And for the guy that sets it and leaves it, wedge is just fine, because you're not going to wear it out. But if you're changing thicknesses a lot, then you want to go with what's called a parallelogram, and we might have to do a video of that at the store later. But it works on a cam, so it's a different function. Maybe you'll check out another video of that later. Brad knows what it is, so what do you think, Brad? Do you change yours a lot or no?
No, I don't change mine much. It's at a 1/16 of an inch, just a tad bit under a 1/16, and I leave it there, and it's never been adjusted since then. If you're going to leave it, 99% of all planing can be done with a fixed-based wedged base.
Yeah, I agree. So on the Brad was talking on the parallelogram. Powermatic is slightly longer on both. It's about a few inches on both sides, but it's not too much. So it just depends on what you guys are doing as whether you need it. Any kind of final parting thoughts?
No, the dust collection on it is fantastic. It is a 4-inch port. I have it piped into my big jet Cyclone, but I've never had a problem with dust pouring out of it. It clears it very well, even on exotics and softwoods and lightwoods, and it's a gem. I would buy 2 more if I needed them. I mean, they're fantastic.
Dude, but I just want to point this out again, how cool Brad's system is. This is awesome. It says exactly what tool the blast gate goes to. You just pull and pull this down for whatever tool it is. You put it on there and it lifts up the blast gate, and away you go. So it's really cool. Brad's got a good design there.
It's so you don't have to buy a really, really, really fancy, expensive dust collector. But yeah, you just start it up, and so we'll just start up the dust collection. Beautiful. I love the helical head. It's fantastic. Can't get any better.
Let's see the. Oh, very nice. Nice work.